My presentation is on Cindy Sherman. Sherman was born on January 19th, 1954 in Glenridge, New Jersey, where she was the youngest of the 5 children of Dorothy and Charles Sherman. Shortly after her birth, her family moved to Huntington, Long Island. Her father worked as an engineer, while her mother taught reading to children with learning difficulties. She had a hard childhood growing up. She mentioned how her father was a cruel and strict man, and her mother was described as good to a fault. In 1972, Sherman enrolled in the Visual Arts Department at Buffalo State College, where she began painting. During this time, she began to explore the ideas which became a hallmark of her work. She dressed herself as different characters using clothes that she gathered together from thrift stores. She was frustrated with what she saw as the limitations of painting as a medium of art, so she abandoned it and took up photography. She spent the remainder of her college education focused on photography. She had failed to require photography class as a freshman, so she repeated the course with a lady named Barbara Jo Reveal, whom she credited with introducing her to the conceptual art and other contemporary forms. At college, she also met Robert Longo, a fellow artist who encouraged her to record her process of dolling up for parties. This was the beginning of her untitled film still series. For 4 decades, Cindy Sherman has probed the construction of identity, playing with the visual and cultural codes of art, celebrity, gender, and photography. She is among the most significant artists of the picture generation. She and a group of other people came of age in the 1970s and responded to the mass media landscape surrounding them with both humor and criticism, appropriating images from advertising, film, television, and magazine for their art. Sherman was always interested in experimenting with different identities. As she has explained, "I wish I could treat every day as Halloween and get dressed up to go out into the world as some eccentric character." Shortly after moving to New York, she produced her untitled film stills from 1977 to 1980, in which she put on disguises and photographed herself in various settings, which deliberately selected props to create scenes that resembled those from mid-20th century movies. From Balenciaga to Marc Jacobs, Sherman doesn't shy from surprising collaborations. Posing in advertising campaigns for luxury products or makeup was important for her work. In this painting, it was sold for $3.89 million and is the infamous untitled number 96 from 1981. The photograph was sold at Christie's in 2011. It ranks among some of the most expensive photographs in the world, such as Peter Link's Phantom and Andreas Gursky's Rain No. 2. In this image, it is titled Untitled B of 1975. It is part of a large series while still a student at Buffalo State College in New York. The series was one of Sherman's first explorations into the transformative power of makeup, costume, lighting, and photography, and the way it could morph her face into an entirely new character. In this image, Sherman transforms herself into a man by including a cloth cap, fake eyebrows, and a type of grin that shows menace and threat. In untitled film still number 25 of 1978 is part of the vast series of the 69 black and white self-portraits, each featuring Sherman posing as a fictional character. but they are all unknown-like characters in a film-like series. This is Untitled number 98 from 1982, and it is part of a group of 4 images known as the Pink Robe series, featuring Sherman posing under a pink bathrobe. She began using color photography around 1980. It immediately pushed her to explore a new style of self-portrait that was less obscured than black and white work. This is Untitled number 414 from 2003. It is part of her Clown series that she began in 2003, which explored our complex relationship with clowns. They can embody a wide range of emotion at one time, from happiness to fear, rage, horror, and sadness. Sherman transformed herself into a series of bizarre, terrifying, and tragic clown characters, using costumes, wigs, and prosthetics, and makeup to taliate an extreme and sometimes complex emotional response. In Untitled number 533 from 2010, she becomes a stereotypical every woman, dolled up in extreme makeup and perfect hair to resemble a plastic Barbie doll. The saturated backdrop behind her reinforces the stickily sweetness of the woman's appearance and reminds us that she is fake. Sherman made a vast series of portraits like this one, featuring various women who seem to be trying too hard to look a certain way that conforms with social expectations. In Untitled number 574 in 2016, she is styled as a mature woman dressed in 1920s flapper-style clothing, including a fur coach hat, and feather boa. This work was made as part of a series titled Flappers, in which Sherman poses as a series of fictional aging actresses dressed in the throwback clothing of their youth, as if trying to recapture the glory days of their success. Untitled film still number 21 reminds of a scene from an outdated television show or movie, with the woman in the picture as a leading character wearing a vintage 1950s outfit and looking captivated by someone outside of the frame. One thing I love about her most popular achievement, the Untitled film stills, is she captures people doing things that don't have an exact storyline to them. It is as though she wants the viewers and audience to come up with their own analysis towards the images. These 2 images, Untitled film still number 13 and Untitled film still number 10, were both created in 1978. These 2 may have many stories behind them, but you can use your own imagination to create them. Each film still gestures toward a rough narrative outline, but she never delivers a specific plot line. Sherman has admitted that she did not title the picture since it would ruin their ambiguity. She has received numerous awards throughout the years, from 1981 of her first award, Artist in Resident, light work from Syracuse, New York, to the Wolf Prize in Art that she received in 2020. One of her most popular awards was the MacArthur Fellowship in 1995. This fellowship grants $500,000 over 5 years, no strings attached, to important scholars in a wide range of fields to encourage their future creative work. Where is she now? Sherman is currently living and working in New York, New York. She was married to Michael Otter from 1984, then they got divorced in 1999. Currently, she is very active on Instagram, and I strongly encourage you to go to her page since she has a lot of interesting artworks posted on there that have not been officially published, and they're very interesting to look at. She is 69 years old right now, and she is one of the best known and most important artists working today. Her decades-long performative practice of photographing herself under different disguises has produced many of contemporary art's most iconic and influential images.